Okay, so let's talk about stress and the day before the exam. Now, when you're stressed, when you're really stressed, you're unable to tackle questions properly, and then you overthink and then you panic, and it just all goes downhill, which I've experienced. So you obviously don't want to stress. Now, when I say you don't want to stress, now you're probably thinking, okay, so how do I not stress? The way you don't stress is that you revise earlier on. The earlier you start, the less likely you will stress later on, because when you come into the exam, you won't feel threatened by all the questions. And if you haven't done enough practice, then you might come across a question which you're not really familiar with, and then you panic because you can't answer that question, and then you end up running out of time, and then it just really just is just shambles. So you really want to practice earlier on. Now, what about a day before the exam? What should you do a day before the exam? Well, number one, you shouldn't revise at all. You should, if anything, just do little shots of revision. So whether that's 5 questions or 10 questions, but don't do like full mocks, because obviously a day before the exam doing full mocks, it will make you panic. Especially, number one, if you end up doing bad on those practice mocks, you will end up feeling bad about yourself, and you will think that you haven't done enough practice. Number two, this day, a day before the exam, should be left for you to, gain some energy, distract yourself, play some sports, go out, enjoy yourself, depending on the situation. But obviously you want to distract yourself, not by flicking through social media and stuff, but actually do something active, whether that's just spending time with family. Distract yourself is basically what I'm saying a day before the exam. You don't want to be thinking too much about this, because on the day of the exam you might end up feeling more stressed because you were thinking about it all day yesterday. And yes, we understand that it is an important exam, but it doesn't mean that you stress about it, because obviously if I told you that you could resit this exam if you didn't do well, obviously that would take up a lot of stress. So the thing is, don't stress at all, and if you revise earlier on, you should be able to do really well. Now, during the exam you want to feel really comfortable. Now, the first time I did it, I went straight in. I was like, oh gosh, where's my whiteboard? Okay, I need to lay out my keyboard. It was just too stressful. Second time round, I was like, you know what? This is my center. I'm going to walk in however I like. I'm going to sit down however I like. So I walked in, and obviously you don't start straight away with the exam as soon as you walk in. You have to read the instructions and then click start. So I could have started like 10 minutes late if I wanted to, if I was sat down on the computer. So what I did was I adjusted everything out how I wanted. So with my keyboard in front of me, the whiteboard on the right hand side, with the pen in my hand, and then I adjusted the screen as well of the computer and adjusted my chair as well. And then I just sat and began thinking, okay, so how am I going to do this? How am I going to tackle it? What will I do? And so giving myself that bit of extra time to ease in front of the computer really did help me and calm down my nerves. So I'd also suggest doing that as well. And another thing as well, drink plenty of water. Now obviously it's such a common phrase that you will hear everywhere and anywhere, but really do hydrate yourself.